You're in the mall, frozen in place, deep in thought, weighing the pros and cons of your latest shopping target. Stop. Before you take out your wallet and pull the trigger on your purchase, you need to know these 9 critical signs that you really shouldn't buy that thing. Hey everyone, Matt here from Family Money School. In this video, we're going to talk about the 9 signs you need to recognize to avoid the nasty regret that comes from buying stupid things. And if you want the world to know how awesome these tips are, please crush the like button and subscribe to get more killer videos. Okay, let's go. Now, the first sign you really shouldn't buy that thing is that you're seeking validation. Now, oftentimes we buy things to establish our own worth or to impress people. In short, we do it in the hopes of feeling good about ourselves. But not only will it leave you lighter in the wallet, it won't give you the high you're after. And that's because of how we're designed as humans. Now, in his book, Balance, financial educator Andrew Hallam describes the phenomenon of hedonic adaptability. In short, we constantly seek after pleasure. And when we get it, it's enjoyable, but only for a short time. And then we get used to it. I mean, that new car, designer clothes, or that killer vacation complete with the accompanying Instagram pics, well, we get used to them. The plush leather seats in that new car that took our breath away when we first sat in them, they seem normal after a few months. The all-inclusive resort with all those amazing restaurants and great pools, after a while, it seems kind of ho-hum. And the designer clothes you just had to have, well, they often get buried in your closet and only see the light of day when you're decluttering. Now, as a self-check to prevent buying stuff to impress people, use the desert island test. I love this one. Ask yourself, if you lived on a desert island and it was just you, would you still buy them? If no one ever saw you in your new clothes, behind the wheel of that luxury car, or poolside at the resort, would you still hand over your hard-earned cash? If the answer to that is no, then hit the brakes and opt for something different or more reasonably priced. Next up, you really shouldn't buy that thing when you're experiencing deep frustration while shopping. I mean, we've all been there. You're out looking for something very specific. You've got a vision for a particular item in mind and nothing seems to fit the bill. Usually when this happens to me, I'm also under some sort of time crunch, which just amps up the urgency. Now, when this happens, you can be tempted to just settle and buy something just to be done with the process. In our minds, it's often better to at least have something rather than to come home empty-handed. Here's the problem though. This often backfires because if you're not crazy about the item from the start, you'll either regret buying it or hardly ever use it. So pro tip, only buy things you're in love with. If you're not excited about something, wait. Keep looking, because if you settle, you won't be happy and you'll end up just buying other items that more closely align with what you originally had in mind. You should also never buy if you're feeling pressure. Now, salespeople, they can be pushy, especially ones who are paid solely on commission. And there are lots of them that will tell you almost anything in order to get you to spend your money. So be wary of salespeople overselling the benefits of a product and trying to force your hand to make a decision. I mean, lines like, "We've only got 2 left," or "This price, it won't last long." These are classic sales techniques to get you to part with your cash. Now, pressure, it doesn't just come from pushy salespeople. It can come from friends and family as well. "You deserve this. You've been working hard. You never treat yourself." These are all lines that can put the pressure on you to snap something up. And while a nudge from a friend or family member can sometimes be helpful, it can oftentimes lead to buyer's regret. Another major red flag to not pull the trigger on a purchase is if it's uncomfortable or difficult to use. Now, I've learned this lesson the hard way, and unfortunately, I've had to learn it multiple times. It doesn't matter how stylish or awesome an item is. If it's uncomfortable or a pain in the butt to use, you are not going to love it. And if you don't love it, you're not going to use it. For me, there's no better example of this than shoes. Now, my wife bugs me that I'm a bit of a shoe diva. I mean, I am a little bit, but come on, we've all been there, taking that awkward stroll around the shoe store, getting a feel for your potential new kicks. You notice a little rub here, a little pinch there. And if you're like me, you've made the mistake of buying those shoes because you think they look awesome or they're a great deal. And you know what? When this happens, I never end up wearing them. I've found that if they're not comfortable right off the bat, I'm taking a pass, a hard pass, because I've wasted too much money on items I never end up using when this happens. I remember this happened to me when I was looking for some shoes I could wear to the beach. Like I said, I'm kind of high maintenance when it comes to my shoes. I have high standards, and it takes a lot for a pair of shoes to meet them. Now in this case, I had a particular vision for what I wanted. There were a few pairs that I liked, and one pair in particular caught my eye. Problem was, they were just a bit uncomfortable, rubbing slightly on the outside of my foot. Instead of doing the wise thing and waiting, I bought them, even though they were just okay. I tried wearing them once, but I just wasn't loving how they felt. And do you know where they ended up? On the shelf. I tried them a few times after that, hoping to persuade myself that they were good or that I could break them in, but no dice. And so on the shelf they stayed. Don't make that same mistake. Unless you're absolutely in love with a purchase, hold off. Think about it for a little bit of time. Keep looking. After taking that time, you'll be in a way better place to make a great choice. The next sign you shouldn't buy an item is that you already have something similar or you can borrow it. Now, a cluttered life leads to a cluttered mind. Having too much stuff can not only lead to buyer's regret, but also to feeling overwhelmed. Before you pull the trigger on a purchase, ask yourself if you already have something similar. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly what you're looking for, but if you've got something that is good enough, don't buy. Not only will you avoid cluttering up your life, you'll save a few bucks. Now, if you don't have something that's comparable, ask yourself if you know someone you can borrow it from. I've borrowed tons of stuff, everything from wheelbarrows to trucks. I found people more than willing to lend things out. And be sure to pay it forward. When we renovated our house a few years ago, we bought a paint sprayer instead of renting. Since then, I've been singing the praises of the paint sprayer, and when people find out that I've got one, I'm more than happy to offer it up to them. Okay, next up is the line that has cost people more money than any other. What is it? It's a great deal. Now, getting a killer deal is awesome. But I've bought things I didn't need or didn't even really want just because they were a good deal. Now, maybe you've had an experience like this. You go into a store looking for a specific item, let's say a Bluetooth speaker, and you walk out with a new TV, a camera, and a computer, all of which were on sale. The only thing you didn't buy was, ironically, the speaker you originally wanted. Don't fall victim to buying something just because it's on sale. Now, when you purchase something that's on sale, you haven't actually saved any money. You've spent money, plain and simple. And when you buy something you don't need, even if it was on sale and you have the special code plus the other secret code that stacks to make it an amazing deal, it's still a waste of money, no matter how much the price was reduced. Another important sign you shouldn't buy that thing that you're about to is if you're upset about something. Retail therapy is a real thing. Lots of people use shopping as a way to make themselves feel better when they're angry, lonely, tired, or sad. And it can actually make you feel better in the short term. That's because buying something, or even just anticipating buying something, can actually cause the release of the pleasure hormone dopamine. This dopamine release washes over your brain, and it makes you feel like $1,000,000, but only for an instant. In that moment, all your troubles seem like they floated away until the dopamine hit wears off and you start feeling like garbage again because of whatever was originally bringing you down. So you start looking to get that dopamine hit again by buying something else, and you end up in this nasty cycle of buying things to make yourself feel better and then it wearing off and then buying more things, always chasing after that next shopping high. This is a strategy headed for disaster from the start. Not only will you never be satisfied or content, spending money to make you feel better can spin out of control very, very fast. Which leads us to the next sign you shouldn't buy that thing. You're going into debt to make the purchase. As you spend more money to make yourself feel better, you'll quickly come to a point where you won't have the money left to pay for something. When you get to that point, you need to hit the brakes. Because counting on future money to pay for something or using credit cards that you can't pay off in full to buy an item is a ticking time bomb. Now, this is a common mistake that a ton of people make. It's something I've done myself. I remember looking at a high-priced course I wanted to enroll in and thinking to myself, well, I am up for a promotion in the spring, and if I get that promotion, it won't put me in as tight a financial position. I can put the course on the credit card now and just pay it off in the spring. Now, this screams danger, 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 because you can't predict the future. You don't know if you'll actually get that promotion, make the big sale, or get the year-end bonus or tax return. And life has a way of dropping a big old emergency right in your lap, like a car repair or broken washing machine, right when you're counting on future money. So don't put yourself in that position. Next up, if you really want to buy something, if it's really important to you, you need to plan for it. And if you haven't planned for it, you should not buy it. Going into a grocery store or onto Amazon without a clear idea of what you want to buy is a recipe for disaster. If you don't know what you want and why you want it, you can easily be persuaded to buy something you don't need or even want by slick salespeople and sales tags on everything. Before you buy something, you need to be sure that you've taken the time to plan out what you want and to determine if you actually have the money for it. That means taking the time to review your budget, also known as a spending plan, to be sure the purchase fits into your plan and that it actually aligns with your values. Now, yes, you have to budget for your needs first, but it's really important that you have room in your budget for wants as well. The problem with wants is that it's so crazy easy to spend out of control on them. And because of that, you absolutely need to carefully plan out these purchases to avoid overspending. And there's a good chance that if you're wanting to buy something you haven't planned for, what you're dealing with is a potential impulse purchase that needs to be avoided like the plague. That's why I recommend using a spending waiting period. Before buying something you didn't plan for, commit to waiting a predetermined amount of time. Now, you might impose a 14-day waiting period on yourself, maybe 30 days. You may find you only need a week. Whatever you decide on, before you buy something, wait for a while. And if you still feel like the purchase is a good idea after that time, go ahead and pull the trigger. By avoiding spending like a crazy person, you'll save your hard-earned money and use it on things you really value. And you'll be able to use it to build real wealth. In the next video, I'm going to show you what it means to be truly wealthy when we look at what net worth you need to have to be considered middle and upper class in America. I'll see you there.